Blue Hens came to Johnny Unitas Stadium this Saturday to take on the Towson University Tigers. They left a little more unhappy than they were when they walked in the door. The Tiger Football Report starts next.
For an athlete, there's nothing scarier than a torn ACL.
Athletes trust us with their care and their careers because we're a recognized leader in sports medicine.
Get back to your active life sooner with MedStar Sports Medicine.
Wise Market's ice cream plant is based in Sunbury, Pennsylvania, and it's locally owned and operated. We've been making our ice cream for nearly 50 years. We create roughly 70 flavors of ice cream right now. We use local ingredients, especially our cream, which is from our milk plant. The cream is what gives our ice cream a rich and creamy texture. Now, together with our customers, we've created a product called Peanut Butter Indulgence, which will be coming out this summer. It's a peanut butter ice cream with sea salt caramel swirl, chocolate-covered pretzel. How could you go wrong with that? Personally, I love our ice cream. If you come to our house at any given time, you'll find at least 5 packets of ice cream in our freezer. Our kids grew up eating Wise quality ice cream, and now we get to treat our grandchildren to it. It's been a pleasure for me to be tasting ice cream for over 40 years for Wise Markets, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Welcome, Tiger fans, to another edition of the Tiger Football Report. I'm your host, Spiro Morekas, along with head coach Rob Ambrose. And, Coach, this was the happiest of Saturday homecomings for the Tigers as they defeated Delaware by a score of 18-17. And a lot of credit to your players, your staff. You did a great job in beating the number 23 team in the country who was leading most of the game, but it's 60 minutes for a reason.
Yeah, it's if you'd asked anybody before the game that we had no shot in the world actually beating these guys. It's one of the best defenses, one of the biggest offensive lines, a bevy full of running backs, and they're kicking everybody's butt right now. But our guys didn't want to hear any of that. They just really did. The young guys grew up. A bunch of guys still got hurt, but guys stepped up. And through the entirety of the game, it's the first time that these young guys actually did not let the moment overtake them. They just shucked it off and kept on going.
You're down 7-3 at halftime. What was your message to the team? Because, I mean, it was an even football game, both sides.
It was. There's the number 23 team in the country. It's not much. That conversation wasn't much different than it was at the halftime of the Villanova game or the Richmond game. And there you go, guys. This is the number whatever team in the country, and we're right there blow for blow with them. If we want this, it's ours for the taking. The attitude of this team, and it started probably about Thursday in reference to this game, was just different. I could see it in their eyes, that they had a different level of focus, a different level of commitment, and it wasn't necessarily to anything other than each other, that they were really, really committed to each other. And when I walked out of the locker room to go work on some of the adjustments for the second half, you could hear them talking to each other about what they were going to do. And there was a confidence that went along with that.
Ryan Stover, he's had some rough patches here in his first year playing, redshirt freshman, threw a couple of interceptions, but he overcame that, led the Tigers to a couple of touchdowns late in the football game. He's named the CAA Co-Rookie of the Week, threw for 187 yards, 2 touchdowns, rushed for another 56 yards, and he had some big runs.
He did. One of them was completely unplanned, and they have their linebackers are, we were talking all-league guys, and Ryan took off at one point and made him look kind of funny. The guy fell down and looked like rather uncoordinated. I thought that was kind of cool. But later in the game, we actually had some design runs that we knew we needed to get it. We had to play with all 11 to get it taken care of. And he ran not only well, he ran really well. And we blocked well. We blocked every single guy they had. We blocked them really well. And what last the week before or 2 weeks before was a 4-yard gain or a 5-yard gain turned into a 15-yard gain. So it was a good job game planning, good job scheming, and good job executing by these guys. They did a great job.
Speaking of the offensive line, Antonio Harris, your stalwart on the offensive line. You moved him to guard this past week. He gets injured in the football game, so you've got to bring guys in, and now the line's got to be readjusted and everything else. They did a great job.
The week before Delaware, the offensive line that played in the Delaware game, only 3 started that started the week before, and only 2 finished that started the week before. And we still found a way to come back and beat one of the best defenses in the country. That has a lot to do with these young men's resolve, effort, what they've been taught and what they've learned and could apply it. And that the staff, how many times I say we put our guys in the best position to be successful versus who we're playing. And I think we probably did that better than we've ever done versus the stiffest competition we probably played all year.
A couple of guys that have been injured come back. John Simmis, huge 39-yard touchdown pass reception. Shane Simpson, who's been missing since the second game of the season with an injury, he comes back. Runs pretty well. Didn't have any big Shane Simpson type runs, but he ran the ball effectively.
No, he did. He got his feet back underneath of him. And we talked about this. Like he's not at 100%. He's not. He's getting better every single day, and he's working hard at it. But you just can't go from 0 to 60 at that position without practice of seeing these bodies move in front of you and a scheme to fit it without time.
And now new offensive lineman from what he saw when he last played.
Yes. But he did. You got to see a little bit of glimpses of what he can do with the ball in his hand, and I think he's going to keep progressing week to week. And having John back is, he's a veteran. He's a guy that when I talk about a concept or why we're doing something, he's a one-timer. Really, he generally, his football intelligence is very, very high. He's got great quick feet. He doesn't drop a thing. He's got the surest hands of probably anybody out there. And on that play in general, we had to make an adjustment, and he made the perfect adjustment. Ryan saw him, took advantage of it, and it paid off. And to be honest, that was probably the spark. At that point, we're like, oh my God, we can actually beat these guys.
Ellis Knutson comes in and catches a 2-point conversion, last year's quarterback. But the defense played outstanding against this Delaware offense that was clicking last week, put up over 40 points against Richmond. Couple of linebackers I thought had tremendous game. Robert Haywood and the freshman Bryce Carter with 2 huge sacks in this football game.
Big time. Bryce had 3 tackles for loss from basically minus 20-some yards. And you hit it perfectly. Robbie Haywood played great. Chris Tedder played so much better. I mean, much better. And in the secondary, we contested everything. We got to the quarterback. We hit the quarterback. We made him nervous. And that offense that was just rolling over their last 3 teams, they had to fight. And they had to fight for inches and big backs. And we didn't break. But the best one was we muffed the punt. They get the ball back inside the 20. And with the guys way we've been in the past, the moment would have just totally taken it over. And instead, I just told them, I did all the math and go, guys, you hold them to a field goal, we're going to win. And look at me, 7 points going to win this game. And they're like, okay, good enough. And damn, we did. That's exactly what we did. Like 2 great stops on first and second down. Monty, they had a really good play schemed up, and Monty was incredibly disciplined. It was the right place, right time, made a great play on the ball. And that walked away with a field goal. And there's not a lot of times when another team scores any points that the team is happy. Oh, were we happy? It was a great stand. It was a great response to adversity. And it was a great pick-me-up for the rest of the game. The guys believed that we could win that one.
And the Tigers did, 18-17, to get their first CAA victory of the season. Things get easier next week when Towson takes on a top 10 team in the country when they'll face Elon. That comes up later this week on the Tiger Football Report when Coach Ambrose and I will talk about the Tigers and the Phoenix of Elon. So for head coach Rob Ambrose, I'm Spiro Morekas. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of the Tiger Football Report.